Hello, you are listening to the Fuzzy Logic podcast. Today we are joined by, I say we, it's just me this time. I am joined by Lucy Jessey. How are you doing, Lucy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
All good, thank you very much. Lucy is from Crescent Digital Marketing. And how long have you been doing that for?
I started beginning of this year, so coming up to a year.
Wow.
But I've been in marketing about 15 years. But yeah, I went out on my own in January.
Nice. And what made you make that plunge?
It was a combination of things, really. But mainly I needed a better work-life balance. I've got a complicated home life. So I needed that flexibility.
Complicated home life. Oh, am I allowed to dig deep into that maybe later on in the episode?
Yeah, sure. I think we'll get there.
I think this is going to be a therapy session for us both, maybe. I don't know. So what is it you exactly offer? You got websites, social media?
Website design and redesign, content creation if you want blog posts and newsletters, and social media management.
Nice. And what part of that whole thing do you enjoy the most?
I like being creative. So creating the post for social media or writing something, especially if it's something I don't really know something about. So I've been working with an audio-visual company and I know less than nothing about that. So learning about it to be able to create content that makes sense is really fun.
That is one thing that I struggle with is a lot of businesses kind of just assume that you know their business. So when you are hired as a social media marketer, and this is the reason why Fuzzy Logic kind of like stepped back a bit, where people are just like, you should know our business because we've hired you. I'm like, no, you chose me. I didn't choose you.
Yeah.
You need to tell me your ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I have had that like to and froing with different clients where they want social media stuff. It's okay. I need to either run this past you or you need to give me some comments or information that I can then generate.
That is vital, isn't it? Like, how often do you meet with your clients?
As often as they want, if they've got a quick question. I try to keep it to like we have a monthly catch up. But if they've got a question in the meantime, then I'm
that is essential, isn't it? Thank you very much for coming on today. We are going to now rewind time. I want to make that sort of sound effect, but I can't. I was going to attempt it then, but I won't even embarrass myself.
Do it in the post edit; it'll be fine.
Blub, 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 blub. That was all me. We're going to go back to Lucy Jr., the origins of Lucy Jessey.
It sounds like such a good book title.
The origins.
Yeah.
That's the trailer for you. And where does it all start then? At what point did you find yourselves quite passionate about marketing or kind of content?
I think I kind of fell into it. It was something I always thought marketing and sales were the same thing, and I don't like sales. That's not my thing. I'm not good at a hard sell, and I don't like being hard sold to. So I always thought they were the same. So I kind of always tried to steer clear of it. But in my first main job that I got after uni, they didn't have any social media. So this was about 2009. They didn't have any social media, and I was saying you need to have a presence out there. So I kind of pushed them gently, and then they gave in and let me create their social media and manage it for them, kind of on the side of the admin work that I was doing. And it kind of just spiraled from there.
It sounds like you sold them that. So you are partly a saleswoman.
Apparently so, yeah.
It is hard, isn't it, to find that, especially when businesses are already quite established and they've always gone by word of mouth. And all of a sudden, especially over COVID and after COVID, they've realised that they can't rely on that anymore. It's like they've probably taken a year off during COVID where the word of mouth is no longer a thing. So social media marketing is just so important nowadays.
Yeah, now more than ever, I think.
And what was you like at school then? Back, I don't know, let's just say primary school. Do you remember that back in 1940s?
Long time ago.
No, I'm joking.
Just because I'm older than you. Respect your elders. Primary school, I was a bit geeky.
Nerd, yeah.
Yeah.
Normally the origins, isn't it, of successful people? It's just nerds.
Yeah, I would always do as I was told. My mum would always say I was a very good kid. If I said don't do that, I never did it. I'd always do my schoolwork and join in. I got a bit bullied for it, so then I kind of became a bit more quiet in class, especially when I got to secondary school. I would kind of sit at the back and not contribute. But
an origin story would not be an origin story without being bullied.
Yeah.
It's made you who you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was the same. I was bullied when I was a child, and it's horrible looking back on it. But if it didn't happen, then you'd probably be a slightly different person. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's amazing. So, and then into secondary school, then what was you studying? What were your passions?
I loved history, English. For A level, I did classical civilization, so like ancient Greece. And
Real nerd vibes,
yeah,
actually.
I loved
I
it.
underestimated this.
Yeah, I'm yeah, quite a geek, and I
History, I
love
don't know
my
what it
reading.
is. I just can't engage with history. I love the future. Thinking about the future, like the technology
Oh no,
involved, is
that's
amazing. But just
no.
thinking about like what happened yesterday, that it's just like I don't know. Let
So long
alone,
ago, yesterday.
let alone. But that's technically history, right?
Oh well, I when I was a kid, we'd always go to historical reenactment shows and things like that. My dad was in the army, so he loved all of that, and he's just an absolute font of knowledge. So it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it was just kind of ingrained to us from the beginning.
Oh, nice. It's in the genes, that
Yeah.
obsession around history. Like my wife, if we're going on holiday, my wife will always kind of be quite intrigued with going to museums or landmarks. And I'm just there for the photography. I'm like, this will be really good for a photo. That's all I care about. And like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I should be
There's
more
nothing wrong with
respectful of the
that.
past.
I kind of do a bit of both. I really like photography in a very
Yeah.
amateurish way, but so yeah, I like
We're all amateur photographers, even the professionals. Nice, cool. So what did you study after secondary school? Did you follow
that.
on?
At uni, I went on a bit of a different track, and I studied criminology and psychology.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think this will very easily touch base on how your brain works, I think, which is something we'll come to at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
Did
I'm
you
sure.
enjoy that?
I did. It was really interesting. It was really good. In my head, I think I wanted to be a forensic psychologist, and I really wanted to go down that path. But actually studying it and some of the things I had to read and some of the topics that I did, it just wasn't for me. It's not something I could
Yeah.
have done
What
as a
do you
career.
remember? What triggered these like random like passions to go kind of off course?
Um, I I wanted to do something different. I think because I'd done like all the history and the English, and I then done it for A level, and I really liked that. But I thought, okay, I should do something different at uni. I just thought it was
Okay,
time
you
to
kind of like life. Yeah, completed it, mate. Let's move
do
on.
it. Yeah, and I didn't really know where if I studied ancient history or whatever at uni. I didn't know what I would do with that. Whereas I thought if I study criminology and psychology, that's a career path set.
Oh, okay.
Apparently not.
So what triggered that was like, oh, I've got to start thinking about what I actually want to be doing in 10 years.
Yeah, I wanted to
Oh
get a degree
wow.
with a point. I didn't want to get a degree and then not use it, which is what I did.
Yeah. That is smart though. I don't think I ever, even now, I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do in 5 years.
I had that at a job interview once. They said to me, it was just after COVID, and they said to me, "What did you want to? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?" And I said, "Honestly, I've no idea. two
Yeah.
years ago, no one could have predicted COVID, and right now, I can only think about like the next few years. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I
No,
can't
100%.
think 5 years ahead.
Yeah. Like, for me, it's I just want to be happy and enjoy what I do. So even if that falls into a completely different market, as long as I'm happy and I'm enjoying what I do, I'm actually paying the bills.
Yeah.
Then I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. That's really good. So then we've studied. We've done university. And where did you go from uni? What was your first job? What was Lucy's first job?
I did quite a few temp jobs, trying to just get out there because jobs were really scarce. Like because I graduated 2007, and then the recession hit in 2008, and there were no jobs or anything. So I temped a lot, and then I got my first permanent job at Hever Castle, which was where I introduced the social media.
Where's that again? Sorry, I'm the
Hever
worst.
Castle. It's a 13th century castle. It was the childhood home of Anne Boleyn,
Oh wow.
and
See,
it's
see, this is
beautiful.
it. As soon as you start mentioning history, I'm like, I just phase out.
Go there and take a camera, especially in autumn.
I'll remember it then.
Absolutely beautiful. They've got ivy that grows on the front of the castle, and in October time it turns red, and it's just
Oh
absolutely
wow.
gorgeous. It's really you'd
I have
love
to
it
note that one
from
down.
a photography perspective.
So what was you doing there?
I was in the estate office doing admin.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's kind of like your origins is like admin related.
Yeah, yeah, I was always quite good on a
How did you
computer.
feel going from studying quite hard for a degree on one subject and then kind of falling into a different sort of sector?
I felt I really lost for a while actually. Yeah, it definitely. I knew that wasn't where I was going to stay. I knew that I wanted more. and it did feel like a bit of a step backwards. And it was a job I knew I could do.
Yeah.
It was very straightforward.
Comfort zone sort of feel to
Yeah,
it.
but it was a job, and at that time it was just what I needed to do. So
What were you looking for straight out of uni? Was that something that you were looking for intentionally?
no, I mean I was thinking about working with the police, and I had a couple of interviews. But I was offered a job actually, but I didn't like the team doing the interviewing, so I
Oh,
declined
I
that
see.
job.
Oh, wow. Look at you being picky. All of it straight out of
Yeah,
uni going, I'll do what I
yeah, I
want.
know.
Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't a good interview. I left actually in tears. It was horrible. The way
Oh,
the interviewer,
God.
he was so horrible. And then they phoned me and offered me the job, and I was like, there's absolutely no way I could work with that man. So,
What? Do you remember? I'm assuming you probably do. But
he was
what happened there?
he was incredibly patronising, and he was asking me questions I couldn't possibly know the answer to unless I'd already worked in the police.
That's mental, isn't it?
And I was trying to come up with ideas. There were two guys in the room, and it was like good cop, bad cop, and which was incredibly ironic and really
Yeah.
when I looked at it. But this guy, he was just he was asking me questions, and the other guy was trying to be a bit more supportive and like, oh, it's okay. Like, I mean, he was trying to like boost me up a bit, but it was not good, and I left. And
I hate those sort of people that they might not even know that they're doing it, but they're just belittling you, like with every question and everything they say. And
and
you
I think
start questioning your life.
I asked at the time. I said, "Oh, how many places?" Because it was for they were interviewing for multiple roles, and I said, "How many people are you interviewing for these roles?" And they said, "Well, put it this way: we've got 4 places available, and we're interviewing 4 people." I was like, "Okay," and then they phoned me and offered me the job, and I was like, "No, absolutely not. I won't do
Yeah.
it." I just
That's mental, isn't it?
yeah.
Wow. The
So I
thing is,
kind of
these little
yeah,
nuggets, especially when you're younger, these little nuggets of like experience really do help. And I think it took a strong person like you to go, no, that's not right for me, because at that age, you just want money, really. You just want to be
yeah,
able to
definitely, and you
pay for
need
your
to.
car.
Because I was still temping at that point. That was before I started at Hever Castle, and I needed a job, and it was going to be a good job. And once you're in that kind of somewhere like the police, then
Yeah.
you can move around in that. But I couldn't do it.
No, it does sound like quite a stressful thing, and the amount of sort of focus on the police and its salary all the time, it must be quite overwhelming to be part of that when you know that you're government funded, and everyone. It's like I'm part of the parish council here, and I don't get paid at all, and yet everyone points fingers at us, and it's just like I am just volunteering. Leave me alone. But you're
Yeah,
never going to get away from that.
yeah. I volunteer. I'm co-chair of my kids' PTA, or we're now a friends of, and yeah, the amount of stick and things that we
Abuse.
get, and it's like I'm
It's
volunteering to
unreal.
do this.
Yeah, and
It's to help.
people, even those that know you're volunteering, they still want something to moan about or point fingers to, and
Yeah.
it's not fair. But everyone is so different, and that's kind of like why I really appreciate you coming on as my first guest. Is that we had a 2 hour chat at a cafe. This was
It
like
was
the
going to
first
be
time
a
I met
short
you as
business
well.
meeting for like half an hour. Um, 2 hours later.
It's quite intense. I don't think we even spoke business. We were just talking about
Possibly like 20 minutes, if that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's just
we were kind of discussing just our brains, weren't we? I think for about an hour. So
yes.
you were diagnosed. Was it this year?
Yeah, it was in April I
Oh
was diagnosed
wow.
autistic.
Do you mind if we dive deep into that?
No, please go ahead.
So before you were diagnosed, I'm assuming there was some sort of inkling that you thought you might be, or
Well, I'd always felt a bit odd that I didn't fit in. Excuse me. And that from when I was small. And I remember like instances throughout my life when I felt like that. It was when we had our third child, Daniel, when he was born. So he's 5.5 now. When he was born, I just knew there was something different about him instantly. And he had very delayed speech. All his milestones were quite a bit later. We ended up going to see a speech therapist who then mentioned might need have a diagnosis looked at.
mm,
So we got an assessment for him. We tried to go on the NHS and they rejected it because they said he was too young. But everything that you read says the earlier you can get a diagnosis and you can get support, the better. So it was a bit of a catch-22. Anyways, we went private and we got him. He got diagnosed as autistic and very likely ADHD, but you can't assess for that till they're 7. And it's also likely he's got PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance.
wow.
So when you ask them to do something, they won't, which is
Yeah.
fun. with a 5-year-old.
So all of those they're all genetic as well, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, there are big genetic links. So then I was like, I was starting to see traits in him that I could relate to. And so the question went around in my head for a couple of years, and I was talking to my best friend who's also autistic, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely on the spectrum."
Yeah, just...
So I was like, "Okay, interesting."
No one else could say it. If they weren't autistic, imagine being told, just being like, "Oh, by the way, you're special." Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So I'm denied about it for a while, and whether or not it was worth getting a diagnosis, because we were fairly sure that I was autistic. But then I just needed to know for sure, even though I was fairly convinced that I was. So yeah, I went, and I think the NHS waiting list at the moment is like 7 years or something for an adult assessment.
Wow.
So we went private again, which isn't cheap, but for me it was worth it. Just to know that is what's going on. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just wired differently. It's just absolute game changer. And now it turns out we think my husband's got ADHD, which then explains a lot as well.
Yeah, so that could potentially be where the PDA is, because you sound like when you were a child, you were like, you did everything that you were told.
Yeah, the exact opposite of PDA.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? How that, because I had the opposite really. So it was my dad that got diagnosed last year, and that's how I found out I've got ADHD and OCD, which is so funny. But as you know, like the relief afterwards of just knowing that you should stop being so harsh on yourself at your sort of like, I'm not a great reader, and I've always tried my best to read to the point where like I'll buy a book like every month. I really want to read that book, and it just sits on the shelf, and I'll read the first page about 70 times before it goes in.
That's exactly what my husband does.
Just go back into the day that you were being assessed.
Yeah.
What did you feel like?
I was highly anxious. Although in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm fairly sure I've got this. I'm spending out this money. Like for me, my parents paid, which is very nice. But I was just like, what if they say I'm not autistic? What's wrong with me then? Why do I feel like this?
Oh, okay.
And it was a complex range.
So in your head, you'd be happier knowing that you're autistic. Then it's like the devil, I guess.
Yeah. At least then you've got an answer, you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. And then when they finally diagnosed you, how did you feel?
I burst into tears. And she was like,
you do that a lot, didn't you, Lucy?
I do that quite a lot. Oh, yeah. No, I really do. I burst into tears, and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm just so relieved.
Yeah.
And it was just it was hard though. It was you have to do a questionnaire, and then you do a phone interview, and then you go and meet someone in person, and it's a lot, and they go over every single thing in your life. And some of it you're like, oh, that can't be relevant at all. And then they're like, well, actually, if you look at it like this, and it's like, oh, that explains that. And it just, how it relates to everything, it just explained an awful lot.
Without a doubt. And what did you do after that? Like, did you invest in like therapy?
I was actually already having therapy.
Nice.
So, and my therapist was just brilliant, absolutely amazing. And we'd talked about it a lot, and she'd encouraged me to go and get a diagnosis. So then I carried on seeing her for a couple of months, and then decided, it'd been about 6 months I've been seeing her, so I decided to take a break and then see how I go for a few months, processing things on my own and using all the tools that she taught me. And then I think we're going to touch base in another couple of months and see where I'm at.
That's really good. It's also, it takes a lot of strength, I think, because it almost feels like you're giving up when you're asking for help. I'm not sure what it is. It's just a generational thing, I think it's a generational thing.
Maybe.
But it's like, instead of looking at it from that angle, it's actually, you're developing yourself. It's self-development. And that's what it is. It's not you're giving up. It's like right now, we're in a position where we need to get a cleaner in because we haven't got time. We just haven't got time to clean the house constantly. It's just an absolute madhouse. Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want my son to think it's okay to just make a mess and somebody else will clean it up after you. But no, it's okay to ask for help when you need help.
Yeah.
It's just knowing when to ask for help.
And that is amazing.
And everyone I know who's had therapy and found a good therapist, they've all benefited from it.
It's that
I
though,
mean,
isn't
there
it?
is that thing, you've got to find the right one that you connect with.
100%.
I've seen 3 different therapists, and the last one, she was just incredible.
Yeah. That's good. And the thing is, it doesn't mean that they're a bad therapist. It just means that you guys just don't have that synergy, that
Yeah,
connection.
definitely. Yeah, you've got to have that connection, as you say.
Exactly, yeah. Now then, leading up to this point then, so what was your last job last year?
I was, it was about a year ago, I left. I was working for a charity doing their marketing and fundraising.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you decided in January to take the plunge. Was you looking for a
Yeah.
job?
I left the charity in November. I needed to take October, November, and I just needed to take some time for myself. I've been umming and ahhing for about 6 months whether or not to do something by myself. And yeah, it was 2nd of January. I was like, right, let's do it. New year, new me,
Yeah.
all that cliche.
The
And
2nd of January. I'm
Yeah.
curious what happened on the 1st. Just
I
hanging.
don't drink, so I was not
You're not?
hungover.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
drink at all, no.
Just socially hungover.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of burnout, which is something I found from the autism. I struggle a lot in being social in big groups, especially. So yeah, if we have something like Christmas, will like knock me out for a few days. So Christmas and New Year's, and everyone's happy and
Yeah, no, don't blame you.
party. Yeah. So
It
yeah, I
is,
have like an
it's
emotional
tough.
hangover.
A social hangover is a thing, 100%. It needs to be in the dictionary. My wife's the same. She gets a lot of social anxiety, which is hilarious because I'm like the complete opposite. Well, you've met me.
Yeah.
Like you put me in that situation, and I just want to be on the stage, which is funny, really, because when I was a child, I was the complete opposite.
Oh,
And
really?
That just goes to show like everything that happens during your childhood and like all your experiences, it makes you the person who you are now. I wouldn't ever change anything. Like we've all had like extremely bad experiences in our life, but it just makes us who we are today.
Definitely.
What I'm
Yeah.
really curious about, Lucy, is if you were diagnosed autistic prior starting this business, would you have still started your own business?
Yes. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think it would have an impact.
No. What has it? Do you think it has impacted anything being diagnosed?
It's impacted my understanding of myself. It's also made me much more aware of other people. I've always been like quite good at gauging people and reading people. And I don't know, I'm just chatting with people and be like, oh, okay, I wonder if there's something going on there because of how they're presenting themselves or something.
That's a very positive trait to being neurodivergent is complete self-awareness and awareness of everyone else. That is the 100% the superpower, because the thing is, what's really annoying for me is I don't like to judge a book by its cover, even though we have the power to. I will give somebody the benefit of the doubt, and then you end up just kind of like, I won't lie to you, half the time or even most of the time wasting your time trying to find out who they are, just to find out that actually it's just not going to work. Do you know what I mean? You just don't want that person in your life. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's a good little superpower. Have you used it a lot recently during networking? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, networking, as you know, is not my favourite thing to do. I get very anxious and talking to new people and that. Like we were at that networking event last week before, and it was, I don't know, it was just a weird vibe, and it just didn't, I don't know if it was the venue or me or what it was, but it didn't feel like it was a good time
100%.
to network.
Yeah.
Whereas when we met at that other networking event, that felt really positive and natural and much easier.
That was the one that we were just discussing about where we were uncomfortable. That's the first time I've ever felt like I just needed to get home. It was
That's
really
how
odd.
I feel going to every networking event.
Wow.
And I still because I really want my business to be a success and I want to get out there and meet people, I really push myself to do things I'm uncomfortable with, like being on a podcast.
Exactly. And I'm addicted to that. I'm addicted to being outside my comfort zone now. I'm terrified of heights, absolutely terrified, to the point where my OCD starts to kick in. And I don't know what it is, but my subconscious just like holds on to everything in my pockets, and I just like sit down on the floor like a little baby in the corner. And that was horrible. Like I went on the London Eye and I just couldn't handle it. Could not handle it.
No.
But yeah, I've jumped out of a plane absolutely fine. I don't know what it is. I know. I think it's just that feeling of being in a harness just makes you feel secure.
No.
No?
No.
I don't know how we got off topic.
This is what we did when we met, though. Go completely off topic. I wouldn't do a skydive. couldn't do that, but I did do a wing walk.
Oh wow! So I think that's more dangerous.
It's not dangerous. There have been 0 fatalities compared to skydiving, which
Oh really?
kind of
Okay. It just sounds dangerous. Like I'm imagining it in my head.
dangerous. It's really tiring because they say to keep your arms like spread out like that.
Yeah.
And the next day, all across here, I was just aching. Hurt so much. But it was good fun. I did it for charity. It was good.
That was really good. Yeah, I didn't do mine. I just wanted to do mine. Like I don't. I think there's a difference, isn't there? Where somebody just wants to go to skydive. They just want to do a skydive.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can get people to pay for this. Do you know what I mean? Or there's, I genuinely want to help this charity. What will it take? If it takes me jumping out of a plane, that's what I'll do. And yeah, it's that sort of thing. And I just wanted to jump out of a plane. And I'm like, I would feel guilty because 250 quid of it or 300 quid of it goes towards me jumping out of a plane.
Oh, I paid for myself to do. I didn't take it out of the donations.
I know, 100%. Oh no, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. But
yeah.
you know what I mean, though. It's like
Yeah.
finding that sort of thing. It's the same with marathons. It's like I want to do a marathon, but people will look at it as like, but you have an opportunity there to raise money. So why don't you just raise money? I'm like, yeah, fair dues, but I'll be doing the marathon anyway. So do you know what I mean?
No, you should definitely do that.
It's tough, isn't it?
I'd rather not.
No, the marathons do sound, but at just one point in my life, I just want to try as much as I possibly can. And I know you said you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years' time. But let's just focus on next year then. So what do you want to achieve in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months? Oh, gosh. I mean, business-wise, yeah, I'd like to have more clients and be nice and busy. Have some, because I've been doing a lot of websites, so it's been just kind of projects. Whereas it'd be nice to have some more things that are ongoing, like the social media. I'd like to push myself a little bit more out of my comfort zone and do some more networking in that.
Yeah. Well, I think the question is, what do you enjoy the most? Like what I've told myself this year is, I had no intention really to be full-time videography. The whole origins of Fuzzy Logic was just to support businesses. People saw that sort of talent in me, which I didn't see myself. And now next year's goal is just to be fully videography. That's what I want to do.
Really? Oh, that's good.
What would that be something for you? Like website sort of your thing, or social media sort of your thing?
I think with social media more so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can create something different every day.
Yeah.
And you can do a variety of stuff, and different platforms want different things and different formats and different audiences. So
yeah,
I think I definitely like to do more with the social media.
Definitely. I think there's so much opportunity out there that even businesses don't see with social media. The ones that believe that they can just pay for a Google ad and they'll expect loads of money back. Like nothing is a guaranteed return, and even networking. No. And businesses don't see that.
Yeah.
But social media, you are increasing your brand just immensely.
Yeah. And people want instant results though, and they want to go viral, and it's such a fluke if you go viral. So
yeah, especially straight away. But like over years, when you're looking at your insights and making sure like there's businesses out there that obviously analyze the data to a point where they're like, well, I'm posting this tomorrow at 4 minutes past 8 because that's the most common time people look at their phone or something like that. I'm like, that's amazing, because that is what that is part of it. That is definitely part of it. But the biggest part really is, I think, is the content. It's can you capture someone's engagement within the first sentence or the first 3 seconds of a video? Like that's the talent.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show like that these people that go viral that then become content creators just because of one video, these one-hit wonders. It's just mental.
That's exactly it. One-hit wonder. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. That half an hour. That's a lot better than we did at the cafe, isn't it?
We didn't just talk about work today, though.
No, well, to be fair, no.
I've suddenly realised it's October today.
We've got 3 months left of the year, really, which terrifies me, because to me, this year's gone so fast. I'm not sure if it's because of you just starting a business or just owning a business, but every day you wake up and you blink and it's like bedtime. For me, my biggest struggle is just balancing it at the minute still with my child.
Yeah, and I've got 3 kids.
You've got 3 kids?
Yeah, and they're 11, 8 and 5, so they're a lot. I think they're all neurodivergent as well.
Wow.
So the youngest one is diagnosed, but the other 2 I'm fairly sure.
You need to turn your house into like a reality show. I think just get cameras everywhere.
My friends said that they should that we should send Daniel, my youngest, onto that it's the Channel 4 show, The Secret Life of 5-Year-Olds. And I was
Oh
just like,
yeah, I've not heard of that, but that sounds amazing.
the Daniel show. Oh my gosh. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it does
so
sound like a household. Yeah, wow.
it's a lot. So as I said earlier, I'm on the PTA for my kids' school. We've got a scarecrow trail that we do around the village at the end of October. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
doing all the bits. I'm planning that this year.
When is that?
That is the Thursday, the 24th of October through to Sunday, the 3rd of November.
Oh, nice.
And it's all around Lower Houstow, where we live. And
Yeah.
we just encourage, we get villagers involved and they build scarecrows and put them on their front gardens and people go around. And it's all just to fundraise for the school, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to be very busy with that, I think, for the next few weeks.
Boom. That sounds really good. We went to last year's one and it was themed. I don't know what it was. The theme was it Disney? I don't know. Superheroes or something like that.
Superheroes. Yeah, superheroes.
Why was Moana there then?
I don't know. I didn't do it last year. I wasn't involved last year. This is my first year being involved. And
But there was like Super Potato. I'd never even heard of it until I saw
Super
that.
Potato, yeah.
And then you've got like I think I saw Batman. I'm not sure if it was actually superheroes because it's on Mario Kart as well. But it was so good though. So whoever's listening to this, right, go to Lower House though at the end of the month with your children, with your dogs, and if you enjoy it, donate some money.
Yeah. No, this year the theme is animals, fact or fiction.
Yeah, perfect.
So we've got some brilliant
Unicorns.
entries come through. Yeah, there's some people have really thought outside the box with these ones.
I would love to know what a unicorn scarecrow looks like, and that's the only reason why we're coming along.
Why don't you make one and bring it?
That's
and
not happening. That is not happening. I'm good with the video camera, but I'm not great with actually sculpting something.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm doing all the
Just
behind
the
the
thought
scenes
of
stuff.
it.
I'm not doing any of that. No.
Right, so thank you so much, Lucy. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll be, and you'll have to jump on again soon at some point next year, I think. And you can update us with whether you're hopefully at some point maybe 100% social media, if that's what you enjoy.
Yeah, that would be really good.
We'll see. Well, thank you, Lucy. Well, I'll see you guys in a few weeks, hopefully, with a new guest. Bye.
Bye.